got it.
There we go. Good evening. My name is Sharon McKechnie, and I'm a geologist, mineral enthusiast, and all-around rock hound. It's a great pleasure for me to be here with the guest speaker tonight, who's going to talk about the Massachusetts Earth geology symbols. This is a subject that I think you're going to find interesting and which highlights the amazing geology of Western Mass, much of which is virtually in our own backyard. Our speaker, Andrew Broder, is a lifelong resident of the Southampton area and has been interested in geology for many years. He is a mineral enthusiast, as am I, and has collected extensively in the local area. One of his self-collected fossils was featured in the book Dynamic Paleontology by Mark A.S. McMiniman, and he was a contributor to Rock Hounding New England by Peter Cristofano. Currently, some of Andy's collection from the site of the former Loudville lead mines is on display at the Clark Chapman House. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Andrew Broder.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me here. My name is Andrew Broder, and I am a mineral enthusiast. There's nothing I like better than going out and collecting minerals. I'm here tonight to talk to you about the Massachusetts state earth symbols and how they relate to the geology of our state. Massachusetts has 53 state earth symbols. I call them earth symbols because if you just say the state symbol, most people think of the state seal, and these are very different from that. Most people don't know these earth symbols exist, and this type of information is seldom part of the typical school curriculum today. Massachusetts adopted its first state earth symbol, the Mayflower, on May 1st in 1918. The other state earth symbols include plants, animals, birds, and the geology symbols I'm here to talk about tonight. Out of the 53 earth symbols that Massachusetts has, 7 of them are related to geology and can be found right here in Western Mass. The 7 geology-related earth symbols are as follows. The state gem is rhodonite, which is found exclusively in Plainfield, Mass. The state mineral is Babingtonite, with some of the finest specimens in the world coming from right here in Westfield. The state fossil, the Dinosaur Track, found locally in Holyoke, South Hadley, Granby, and all the way up to Connecticut River Valley past Turner's Falls. The state building stone is granite, and the state rock is Roxbury pudding stone, a sedimentary conglomerate from the Roxbury section of Boston. The state also recognizes Plymouth Rock as the state historical stone and Dighton Rock as the state explorer stone. These last two won't be in the discussion today because those really don't relate to the state geology, but more the state history. And an interesting side note, as many of the geologic representatives that we have only been adopted as this official state symbols in the last 40 years or so. So they're not as old as you might think. The mineral rhodonite was adopted as the official state gem in 1979. I've got to move my screen over. There. Help. Lost my words.
Push them over. You're behind your rhodonite.
Yep, I got it now. Thank you. The mineral rhodonite was adopted as the official state gem in 1979. The only known deposit of rhodonite in the state is found in Plainfield, Mass, at the location of the former Betts manganese mine. The pink-colored rhodonite is the ore containing the manganese. The mine was worked extensively in the 1840s before being abandoned due to the California gold rush. The mine was later acquired in 1925 by the metallurgist and inventor Anson Gardner Betts, where it remained in the Betts family and actively mined until the mid-1940s. Today, the rose-colored rhodonite is highly sought after by mineral collectors and jewelry makers because it polishes so beautifully and is used to make pendants, belt buckles, bolo ties, earrings, and many other items. Back in the day, you could get umbrella handles and kitchen cutlery with rhodonite handles. The very ornate carved vases and bowls were also produced from this mineral. The manganese-rich rhodonite was originally mined for use in the production of steel and other alloys and is a crucial additive to metals even today. The property where the mine is located is owned by a group of interpretive artists known as Earth Dance. The property has a pay-to-dig program where you can contact their mine representative and set up a mineral excursion to look for pieces of the rhodonite and other associated minerals. The pink rhodonite gets a jet black rind on the outside where it oxidizes with the air. All the rocks from there need to be cracked open because the black rind masks the beauty hiding inside. And if you see this picture right here, the black rind permeates the outside layer, and the longer it's been exposed, the deeper that goes. If there are any cracks that run through the specimen, that black will travel into the rock, making black streaks, and that's really what the mineral collectors that make jewelry are looking for. Here's a bracelet with a polished rhodonite stone in it. This is a cabochon, and you can see how the black streaks just travel right through the piece. That would be highly sought after today. And very ornate carvings were done. This was could be a bird bath, could be a candy dish for a fancy home somewhere, but you probably wouldn't find anything like that today except in an auction house. And here's the cutlery with the rhodonite handles. I remember the stuff my great-grandmother had with the pink handles. I doubt it was rhodonite, but they were made to look that way. Babingtonite was officially adopted as a state mineral in 1971. It was named after William Babington, a physician and mineralogist residing in England. This lustrous, black, wedge-shaped mineral is highly sought after by mineral enthusiasts. The state mineral is associated with the massive flood basalt deposits, also known as trap rock. This mineral was found in several places all over the world, but some of the finest specimens in the world come from right in Westfield, Mass. At Lane's Quarry. The crystals are highly sought after because of the size they can grow to. Some crystals can be found upwards of 3/4 of an inch, but most are smaller. Mineral collecting is no longer allowed at any Lane facility after trespassing on the property ruined that opportunity about 15 years ago. You can see some of these specimens. It's hard to tell what their relative size is, but this is Babingtonite perched on some light green prinite. Next. Here's some Babingtonite on either calcite or quartz. This is another beautiful piece, a larger cabinet specimen. And it's hard to believe that stuff like this can survive being blasted out of the trap rock, but it does. And here's another piece that's just loaded with Babingtonite crystals. And if you happen to be lucky enough to find that while digging at Lane's, everybody in your group would definitely know you found a real keeper. The Dinosaur Track was adopted as a state fossil in 1980. The towns along the Connecticut River from Holyoke northward, just beyond Turner's Falls, are well known for their 200-million-year-old Jurassic period deposits of sedimentary rock containing dinosaur tracks. These deposits also contain plant fossils and other structures like sand ripples and mud cracks. These fossil beds extend approximately 3 to 5 miles away from the riverbank on both sides of the river. The first tracks were discovered in the Greenfield area in 1802 by a farmer named Pliny Moody while working his fields. The tracks were later seen by Professor Edward Hitchcock in 1833 and thought to be ancient bird tracks. Then, as history tells us, they were identified as dinosaur tracks. There's an extensive collection of these tracks at the Boneski Museum of Natural History at Amherst College. It is free to the public. Dinosaur State Park in Holyoke contains the tracks of over 100 different individual trackways from numerous different types of dinosaurs. Some of these, if you've never been to the Holyoke Dinosaur Tracks, it's an absolutely amazing place. Some of the tracks you really have to look for, but it's very special to go down there and see them. And they extend all the way down over the railroad tracks, all the way down to the river. Okay. Granite was officially adopted as a state building and monument stone in 1983, and specifically Quincy Granite. Granite is a combination of three minerals, mica, quartz, and feldspar. It is very durable, yet very workable stone. It can be split, cut, shaped, polished, and even turned on special lathes to make columns. The men that mined and worked with raw stone were exceptional craftsmen, transforming it into incredible works of art. The stone can vary in color from gray, white, pink, and even green. The Quincy granite was a very beautiful dark gray, and when polished was absolutely stunning. It was used to build the Bunker Hill Monument, the Washington Monument, and the Veterans Memorial Monument on top of Mount Greylock in North Adams, Mass., among others. Granite quarries dot the map from the Berkshires to Boston. It was its abundance, availability, and workability that made it so valuable. Its other common uses in days gone by included cobblestones for streets, raw split blocks for building foundations. Throughout history, granite has been used for such purposes as crushed stone for concrete and blacktop, headstones, curbing stones, and countertops. If you've never been to the top of Mount Greylock and seen this monument, it's just recently been all redone and reopened. Well, before COVID, that is. They had some leaks in there that they had to repair, and they've gone in and done that, and it's very beautiful. You can actually find pieces of the granite in the grass on the right side of the statue, where the blocks were trimmed and fussed over so they fit better when they got put in place. The Washington Monument needs no introduction. We've all seen that 100 times. And the Bunker Hill Monument, another magnificent structure. And this granite sphere, I would love to have watched them manufacture this. That's about 6 feet in diameter on that granite base, and it's absolutely magnificent. Roxbury pudding stone was adopted as the official state rock in 1983. It formed from great glacial rivers that flowed south through the Roxbury area of what is now Boston. The majority of this incredible deposit has all but disappeared or has been covered over by urban sprawl, but once in a while it's uncovered while putting in water or sewer lines or during construction jobs. The mixture of the fine grain and coarse grained sediments range from sand-sized particles to rocks up to the size of a quarter. The arrangement of particles was controlled by the amount of water carrying the sediment at any particular time. Colder temps led to decreased glacial melt and lower volume of melt water, and only very fine particles were carried away, while warmer temps sped up the glacial melt, causing a higher flow that would move larger particles. These periods of fluctuating water flow resulted in a mix of both large and fine-grained material. The mix was subsequently buried by other sediment deposits, compressed and lithified, making it into the solid riverbed that we see today. This rock is very stable because of its concrete-like blend of particles. This allows it to be sawed into slabs and polished. Its reddish-colored body and lighter-colored stones made it highly sought after when polished. It would then be used in the facades of bank counters and hotel lobbies and government office buildings. It was also used to construct a number of early church buildings in the Boston area, and they still remain strong to this day. Here you can see a polished, Okay, we'll go to this one. This is the raw cut blocks of the pudding stone that are in some of the churches in Boston. It was readily available, and they used it whenever they could, and it's very, very strong. Here's a polished section. You can see some of the different colors in there. This happens to have more of a gray body with different colored stones. But you can see how well it polishes. Another section here. There's another larger piece that could be in a bank, polished on all sides for a counter, or in a hotel, or anywhere. And here's some of the red. This is more what we find in Roxbury, the medium colored red body with a lot of lighter colored stones in it. And being a mineral enthusiast, I feel there are two local minerals that deserve honorable mention and may even deserve their own state status someday. These two minerals are both significant for their historical contributions, not only to the state, but to the country as a whole in its early years. The Loudville complex of lead mines, located right here in little old Southampton, at the time was the only source of lead for the colonial troops and a major player in the history of the Revolutionary War. While involved in the war for independence, sending a ship over to England, who was our adversary, to pick up musket balls to shoot back at them was not an option. This lead ore deposit here in Southampton was the mineral that helped win the war. Unfortunately, that history is all but gone from local schools today, and in my opinion is something that should never be allowed to fade away. The other important local mineral is the abrasive mineral called emery. Emery was mined at the Chester Emery Mines in Chester, Mass. This was the only American deposit of the important abrasive mineral in the U.S. in the 1800s. Before the discovery of this mineral deposit, all emery came from Europe. The Chester emery was of fine quality and very abundant in the small Berkshire town. Chester was able to boast a total of 6 different mines in one small area. The old mine was the largest of the 6 mines. The Melvin mine, the Wright mine, the Sackett mine, and the Snow mine and the Marcia mine all produced emery for quite a while. Worthy of mention also is that the Loudville and Chester mines both share a small moment in history. The stamp mills, an early rock crushing device that had been located at the Loudville mines, were sold at auction for $17,000 in the mid-1860s, after the last evolution of mining ended there. The stamp mills were disassembled, moved by oxen and sled over the mountains to Chester. This is where they were put into service by the Chester Emery Company, processing the raw ore of that mining venture as well. The sad ending of one mining era aided in the building and prospering of another, continuing our coexistence with the ever-present minerals of Massachusetts. Massachusetts is now, and this is some of the galena. This was found right at Loudville. You can see the dark gray metallic looking cubes. This is setting in nice white quartz. You can still find stuff like this down there today in the dumps. Everything that wasn't solid galena or the solid lead wasn't bothered with, and it got thrown in what was called the dumps. If it wasn't lead, it wasn't profitable, and it got thrown away. You can find, there's 52 different minerals at Loudville, and the galena is still one of my favorites to find down there. And this is the emery, not a very glamorous rock, but very important just the same. It's a mixture of corundum, magnetite, and another mineral that I'm very sorry, but that escapes me. It's 3 minerals together. This would be crushed to different sizes. And the thing about emery is no matter how finely they ground it, it always had sharp points. This would get made into emery boards, emery paper, grinding wheels, anything that needed an abrasive. Very, very valuable in its day. Massachusetts is now considering adding number 54 to the list of state earth symbols. Legislation was drafted to add a state dinosaur to the list. 2 different dinosaurs who left their mark right here in the fossil record of the Connecticut River Valley are being considered for this honor. People are being given the chance to view the 2 and vote on the one they thought was best suited for this new position. As of right now, no official word has been given as to the outcome. There is a Facebook page expressly for this, and you can find out where to vote. They're still taking votes up to the end of the day tomorrow. This has been posted in a few different places. I believe Robert had it somewhere, and I'm excited for it. We have their footprints. Why not have the dinosaur too? Mm-hmm. And that's all I have. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed it.
Thank you, Andy. For our questions, why doesn't everybody unmute yourself?
Yeah.
Tammy, I got your hand up.
She can't unmute, I don't think.
Okay, I just did something that may have changed it. Can you unmute, Tammy? Okay, good.
Now I got it.
Great. Teamwork.
Yes. Andrew, the first one that you talked about, the pink rhodonite, is that also known as pink granite?
No.
No.
It is not a granite.
So,
It's rhodonite is its own mineral, and it is a single mineral. This happens to be high in manganese, and it's that black rind that it gets on the outside. It's the manganese that's oxidizing with the air. When we go up there, my mineral club, the Connecticut Valley Mineral Club, we go up there every year, and we are able to have a day where we go and dig, and we look for the rhodonite and the other associated minerals. And you have to literally crack everything open with a hammer to see if it's pink inside. It's all different shades of pink. Some is almost a pale yellow. But the more pink it is, the more we like it, and it's a great place to go and spend the day.
my next question was that the bird feeder and that, is that just one piece that makes that up, or is that several pieces?
It's probably 3 pieces. That the top dish would be its own, and then the pedestal is probably 2 pieces.
Wow.
It's hard to tell from that picture. But it's very well made. It's beautiful.
Wow. Thank you.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, just one kind of funny thing. I traveled a few years ago down to Argentina and fell in love with this beautiful pink stone that apparently is one of their national treasures as well. And lo and behold, it's rhodonite. So to this day, I wear a rhodonite ring. I had no clue that it was in my backyard.
Yeah, it's beautiful stuff. I wish I had the knowledge and the ability and the tools to do stuff like that, but I just don't have the time or the room for that part of the hobby right now. Yeah. When you get into making jewelry, it's a whole, it's a field all of its own. Yeah. There's some specialized tools and
yeah. But I didn't know that I had to travel. I didn't need to travel all the way to Argentina to find it, as my point.
Oh no, it's and that one little place in Plainfield, Mass, is the only place in the state that has it, where it's known.
Yeah. One other question though. You mentioned the pudding stone. Is that right?
Yes.
Why did it ever get that name?
I believe it looked, when they cut it open, it looked like they thought it was pudding with stuff in it. It's bread pudding or Indian pudding, or I'm not exactly sure why they call it that. It's just it's makeup and just how it looks.
Okay.
Like pudding. It's not very attractive in its raw state, but it is quite nice when it's polished.
Anyone else with questions for Andrew? Bill.
Well, when we come north on Route 10 from Westfield, you have a good vista of what's called on the maps as the Mineral Hills. And I'm curious about how that name originated and perhaps what other minerals might have been found in that section, roughly, I guess, between Loudville and maybe as far as Williamsburg. I'm not sure.
I'm not exactly sure what they found at Mineral Hills. There's an old quarry up in there. There's some hiking trails up in there. If you go up to the end of Turkey Hill Road, Northampton, Westhampton area, all the way up at the end, there is an old quarry up there, and there's hiking trails that go around it. That's a good question. I've never looked into that, but I'm going to. Maybe I can find you the answer.
Any other questions?
Andy, when's your next public hike up to Loudville mine area?
Well, we'll see what the snow brings us on Monday into Tuesday this week, and maybe we can get a hike in there on a warm day. It would be real nice to get in there before any of the low foliage starts to pop out. You can see so much better some of the old works back where the chimney and stuff is. So but we'll keep an eye on the weather and how much snow there is, and we'll get in there for sure.
I've been with Andy twice and the Loudville mine, and it's knocks your socks off. It's amazing. Nothing you'd ever expect.
Is that a weekend activity?
We usually do that on a Saturday afternoon or a Sunday afternoon, right around noontime. And Robert will announce it. But it's fun to go down there. There's a lot of history left there if you know where to look. A lot of it is just tucked away, and if you don't know what you're looking at, you'll walk right by it. Old cellar holes, the old horizontal chimney that was actually below ground level for about 100 feet of it. An item called the reverbatory, which was a brick structure used to trap and store heat. So there's a lot going on down there, and I love it down there. As I got into this hobby looking for historical information on the Loudville lead mines, and I was on a mineral website called Mindat, and I asked a question in their forum section about if anybody knew anything about Loudville. And another guy in our mineral club answered me, and the rest is history. I've been a past president. I'm their field trip coordinator. I've been a fill-in secretary. The only thing I haven't been, I think, is the treasurer. But last year, 2019, we did 17 field trips all over New England, 2 to 3 a month, from New Hampshire, Vermont, Mass, Connecticut. Well, we don't go to Connecticut much. Connecticut's hard to collect minerals in. There's a lot of posted property, and the one thing we won't do is trespass. So it just causes problems. But trying to gain access into these places is getting harder and harder and harder. I will have to say one thing, that COVID-19 introduced more people into rock hounding than I've ever seen in my life. People came out of the woodwork to find out where to go to do rock hounding. And to give you some type of idea, although there's no way of tracking it, Massachusetts did, by June of 2020, Massachusetts had issued 20,000 more fishing licenses by June than they did all of 2019. So 20,000 new people went out to go fishing during COVID because they had nothing else they could go do. So if that's any indication of the amount of people that got into rock hounding, at least for that last year, it's incredible.
And the best part about it is you can bring home what you find. Look at the galena from the Loudville mine.
Yep. There's you'd have to experience it, but going out and sitting in the middle of the woods at an old mine location and spending 3 or 4 or 5 hours with a couple of like-minded people is a very relaxing thing. You just forget about the whole world for the day. And if you don't really even need to find anything, it's just going out and doing and shaking that mental etch-a-sketch and clearing it off. That and camping are my favorite things to go do. And if I can do them both on the same trip, I'm a happy guy.
I would love to know what your take is on the new, the mineral stone, the geonite that they cut in half and they found Cookie Monster inside.
Oh, I've heard about that. I haven't seen it.
It's incredible.
Yep. Nature is pretty neat, and it all that stone would have taken is being cut in the opposite direction. And you'd have never seen it, but I've heard of that geode, but I haven't seen it yet. I'm surprised too, because I'm on enough mineral pages on Facebook. You think I would have, but I haven't.
No, I saw it, and it's very striking. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful piece.
Yeah. There are all kinds of Facebook mineral pages. Almost every mineral club has a Facebook page. We are almost every club is governed by a federation. From Maine to Florida is under the guidance of the Eastern Federation of Mineralogical and Lapidary Sciences, the EFMLS. It's our parent organization. We are able to get liability insurance through them at a cheap rate. They are there to help us get access into places if we're looking to try to get into some place new. There's a lot of things they do for mineral clubs, and they even have a Facebook page. But I'm also part of that organization. I'm the chairman of the Eastern Field Access Council. If we can't get access into places and make connections with the landowners, we don't get to go in and dig. We're lucky that Loudville is owned by the New England Forestry Foundation and public land, because it's you don't have to get permission to go there. You can go there any day of the week, anytime you want. And the only thing that they want to know about is if you find anything really good, they'd like to see it. They're not going to take it away from you, but they'd like to see it. So it's getting access into places is a very big deal. As you can imagine, these locations don't pop up on the corner at a half a dozen of them every year. So you don't have to lose many before it starts affecting your hobby. So we try to keep places open and conduct ourselves appropriately so they don't get closed. But yeah, it's fun. If you're looking for something different, join a mineral club and get out there and dig.
I do know that when we were doing the Parade of Trees in 2019, everybody would come in and the first thing they would see was your display. And they'd be like, what? This is here in town? And it was amazing how many people didn't realize, the button factory and the lead mines and everything. And
well, that's the next thing I'm trying to work on is straightening out the button mystery. And when I got into mineral collecting 10 or 12 years ago now, we went to Loudville and I found a button. I says, oh, I wonder what, how come these are down here? I found 3 or 4 of them. And the guy I was with said, oh, there was a button factory upstream and it burnt and fell into the river, and that's why all the buttons are here. Well, I found out, and I used to tell everybody that, and I found out I was telling everybody wrong, because there wasn't a button factory. There are so many different kinds of buttons there that it's crazy. And a button factory only made 2 or 3 kinds of buttons. What there was a bleachery. They would take rags, old clothes, and they would rip the buttons off and toss them into the river, and then bleach the clothing and macerate it to make rag paper. That's why all the buttons are there. And I can't get into the Westhampton Historical Society to see their display and talk to somebody about it, because that's a mystery I want to solve. So many people have been told the wrong thing, and I was guilty of telling it. And it's neat history. So it's I can't wait till I can get a hold of somebody up there. Robert, if you know anybody in Westhampton that you can call, or if anybody does, I would love to get in there on a Saturday afternoon and for half an hour and look around.
Okay.
Bill Tracy over on South Road, or Steve Holt over on North Road.
I know them both, but I didn't know they were involved in it.
I think both of them might have a little bit of history with that.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, my son Kyle was just down there with his mom and I believe his sister about 3 weeks ago, and he found a big clump of buttons that looked like it was melted into something, into a chunk. Now, there was a fire there, and the building did fall into the river, but it wasn't a button factory. It was the bleachery. So I believe what he found was a chunk of buttons that were locked into something that melted. And he found some neat stuff in there, and it's closer to the old Clear Falls Dam. So it's not down in the Loudville part. It's much farther upstream. The buttons you find at Loudville have washed down during high water events. And what he found the other day is just amazing.
Wow.
He found some with some writing on it that we tried to look up. And I believe they were, we couldn't find definite information, but I believe they came on like a military garment. They were a metal button with, what was it?
Overalls, probably.
Could have been overalls, could have been military stuff, but he found a handful of those too. And most of them are porcelain, in all different shapes and sizes. So it's very interesting. It's just a neat place.
Wow. Any other questions for Andrew?
No, I did find a photo of the Cookie Monster Geode, though, if anyone wants to see.
Can you share that for us?
Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah. Somebody, that's just amazing. That is amazing.
Kind of crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's blue. I mean, that's just odd. Anyway, I wanted to share while I had you all here.
Oh, cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, as you can tell, I get excited about this stuff. I just
No,
that's a good thing.
Knowing that so many of this, 53 Earth symbols, and so many of them are found right here in Western Mass with us.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Matter of fact, seeing that, considering that they're trying to get a state dinosaur, and they're trying really hard. Their legislation is written. They want to do this. It makes me want to investigate how to get the ball rolling on having a state and having it could be either Loudville led or Chester Emery. And the whole state and the whole Northeast is so mineral rich. It's incredible. The Berkshires were well known for iron in the early 1800s. There were 3 or 4 different iron smelting furnaces out along the Housatonic River and down into Connecticut. And they mined the iron and melted it right here and made pig iron. And one of those locations you can still visit up there. They have the big stone furnace, and it's right on the edge of a brook, and you can go and collect pieces of the slag which was the waste product for making the iron. It's beautiful greens and blues and browns and purples, and it's just dumped in piles all over the place. But the iron history in the Berkshires is incredible. It's thought that at one point in time, the Berkshire Hills were probably barren of trees because they didn't have coal here. That would have been charcoal-fired furnaces. They would have gotten the iron just about hot enough to melt. And the Berkshires, they said, it's thought had quite a sizable air pollution problem because of all the charcoal kilns and the iron furnaces that were all working in conjunction with one another during that iron boom. And that's another bit of history I'd like to get into more. But the Richmond Iron Furnace out in Richmond, Mass, is a wonderful place to go and spend some time. And it's a National Archaeological Site or National Historic Site, one of the two.
Andrew, this is off the subject, but did you know anything about there were lead mines on the back side, the west side of Wolf Hill?
I've heard talk about that. I've never been out there. I used to coon hunt down on Wolf Hill with Gary Kuchar.
Oh yeah, all right.
And I've heard of a quartz mine down there, somewhere over in that area. And I know quite a bit of granite was taken off that hill for different things, but I never heard of the lead. I've just rumor.
Well, there's two spots. I've been there. I used to go there as a kid. One was a vertical, a horizontal, like blasting into the side of the mountain, but they didn't get in very deep. And the other one was just a hole that they kind of blasted out kind of on the top of the ridge.
Oh.
That was only probably about 8 or 10 feet deep. And the story I heard was that they gave up because there wasn't enough there to make it profitable. But I wondered if you knew anything about that, or like when it was done or anything, or who the people were.
No, I never really did any research on it. I do know that the same vein that those Loudville lead mine is in runs all the way from where it is, Southampton, Westhampton area, all the way up through to Hatfield and into Pelham, the same vein.
Wow.
Hydrothermal vein. And there's an old lead mine in Hatfield that was part in the same vein as Loudville, and then in Pelham also.
Wow.
And that's all the same formation. But the Hatfield lead mine, I believe, is a trailer park now, and you can't get in there. And the one in Pelham, I think it's on state land from Quabbin. So you're not supposed to be in there either. They don't want you digging. But very, very interesting mineral history if you know where to look.
Yeah.
But if you know where those are, I'd love to take a hike someday and check those spots out. Maybe there's some evidence laying around that would tell the tale.
Yeah, it's a number of years. I don't know. I could probably find them. It would be an adventure.
Nothing wrong with that.
Well, since Barry kind of went off the subject, I'm going to also. Do you think when they actually start digging for our Southampton Greenway, do you think they will run into any other mineral places along that area?
It's hard to say. The area between Loudville and Mount Tom sort of gets uneventful as it comes down here into the valley and closer to the river.
Okay.
The rock changes. It's mostly sedimentary. That red rock that everybody in Southampton has, and some people even have pink water. That sedimentary rock didn't promote mineralization. It's the granites and the hydrothermal veins that you find as you get up into the Westhampton Hills that produce the minerals like the lead and stuff. And it's hard to say how the canal system and the railroad, how much material they brought in to make the rail bed. So you don't know. You might find something,
Yeah.
but did it get brought there or is it from there?
Right.
And that's what you don't know.
Wow.
But good question. Is there any word on that project? I was involved with that 7 or 8 years ago, and it just sort of drifted away. And I know it takes time to do that stuff, especially with the railroad. So,
Chris, do you have an update by any chance? I know they talked about it at the select board meeting.
Yeah, we are putting the final touches on a grant application. Actually, I'm working on it later tonight. We're going to submit a grant request to Mass Trails for $300,000 to acquire the right-of-way from the railroad.
oh wow,
So we're trying to get some grant money to buy the right-of-way. That's what has to happen first. And then, of course, there's this whole big saga about, design and construction and stuff. But there is money set aside for us at the Mass Department of Transportation. There's $6 million earmarked for this project.
wow.
But, we got to get moving on it or we're going to lose it. So we just decided to start applying for grants to acquire the right-of-way at least. So it'll be a process, but we're starting it again. It's been kind of, in hiatus, I guess, for a while, but there's a lot of renewed interest, I think, now.
Yeah, well, I know that type of process doesn't move fast. There's a lot of hoops to jump through and stuff. So it's good to see that something's happening.
Yep.
Wonderful, wonderful. So the only other thing on our list was to remind everybody that April 22nd is going to be our next program. And do we have someone that we have lined up already? Is that Joe or?
We had been talking about the guy we tried to get last year, but he only wanted 1 month notice and not 6-7 months. He's the one that Chris knows of, the child labor study.
Is that Manning?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Joe Manning or something?
So
like
he's
that?
on deck. That's all I know of.
Okay. All right. Well, we have until April 22nd to get that lined up, but you'll be hearing from all of us at the Historical Society. And again, if anybody's interested in jumping on any groups or helping out with anything that we're doing, I know at some point we're going to be needing to start documenting some of the artifacts that we have to move back in to the house. But things are slowly moving along there.
Very good.
So,
Well, a big hand for Andy Broder.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon.
Thank
Very
you.
nice. Yeah.
Thank you very much. And
You're
I'm
welcome.
glad you were able to record that, Robert.
Cheers.
Perfect. If anybody has anything else or that we should bring up, then I would take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
And a second.
Second.
Barry, all approve?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Well, I thank you all for joining tonight, and I hope you enjoyed our presentation. And Andrew, thank you again. And
You're very
everybody stay safe.
You
Cheers.
too. Good night.
Thank you. Good
Night,
night, everyone.
Night.
Aye.